Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight TV edition. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror TV on this show. We are working our way through Tales From the Crypt, the original horror anthology series from HBO. So, this is going to be season 4, episode 7. It's called The New Arrival. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, first things first, interesting cast in this. First of all, there's a weird cameo from Robert Patrick at the start. And I liked how he was credited as special appearance by Robert Patrick, and I'm like, what, T1000 got him like this cred where he's a special appearance?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And to be honest, if they didn't say his name, I don't know if I would have really instantly gone oh, hey, that's him. I don't know, with the wig and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I reckon, but I'd already seen his name, so maybe I wouldn't have caught him as easily. Because he's putting on this sort of thick southern voice, like this radio host voice that he's doing the whole time, so you don't really hear what he normally sounds like. The main character is played by David Warner, of course, who's one of these consistent actors who pops up in a lot of stuff, a lot of movies.
The scientist from TMNT 2.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's one of his more notable roles for Tim.
And that's instantly what I knew him from.
Yeah, he's in that. I'm pretty sure he was in the Supergirl movie, if I remember right.
Oh, that classic.
But he popped up in so much stuff in the 80s and 90s. Like he had one of those faces that were all over the place.
I feel like he's always like the British doctor that just comes out and explains something.
Oh, sure. That is basically his thing. And then you have Rona, who's played by Joan Severance. Rona's like the radio, not boss, but high up executive who comes in and gives them shit, because David Warner's character is a psychiatrist, a child psychiatrist who has a radio show, so we'll think of Frasier Jr. kind of idea. But she's played Joan Severance, who plays her. I was like, I know her from something and I'm not sure what it is, and it was bugging me. She is the female, I'll just say bad guy. I can't, they weren't assassins, but bad guy. Did you ever see No Evil, Hear No Evil?
No, I've actually wanted to see it.
It's pretty fun.
I've heard it's surprisingly not bad.
What do you mean surprisingly? It's pretty fun. What was surprising about it?
I don't know. I never thought the posters or trailers or anything looked that good. I mean, that's the the WWE movie, right? Am I thinking?
No, that's just See No Evil. That's the horror movie.
Oh, okay, all right.
See No Evil, Hear No Evil. This is Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. One of them's blind, one of them's deaf, and they get wrapped up in this weird criminal plot, and the criminals are after them. But obviously, one's deaf, one's blind. It's a hoot.
Oh, okay.
I thoroughly recommend it.
All right, I'll give it a shot if I ever see it around.
It's been a long time, admittedly. So, I mean, maybe it's not held up as much as I think it does. But still, she's in that. That's where I knew her face from. And then you've got Zelda Rubinstein's in there. She's like one of these character actors who pops up, always playing obviously because she's little, but she plays this little woman with a really high-pitched voice. Because that's kind of who she is what she does. So, yeah, a lot of recognisable faces throughout the episode. So yeah, he's a child psychiatrist who has a radio show, and Robert Patrick plays this rival radio host, and he's talking about conspiracies or something. I don't know. I wasn't even paying attention, to be honest.
It seemed like a I don't know, rock and roll, shock jock kind of thing.
But basically, David Warner's ratings are going down, and Rona comes in to tell his producer that, you guys your slot's been taken away. It's going to the guy with the better ratings. You're done. And in a sort of last ditch effort to keep his radio show, David Warner's character says to the woman over the phone, whose name is Nora.
Nora?
Yeah, which is Rubinstein's character. He says, "Oh, I'll come and deal with your your troublesome daughter, because that's the thing that the parents phone up and ask for advice on how to do this." And he's written a book, and his whole philosophy is ignore the kid, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. That's his whole mantra. That, and then the other line that he keeps saying is, "Good psychology always beats bad behavior." And I have to do that every week with Tim. So I mean, clearly there's something to it.
I mean, I don't know if it's working, but if you keep having to do it.
Touché. But yeah, so he makes this last-ditch effort where he basically says on air, while the audience are listening to him, that he's going to do a live show from this woman's house. He's going to go and see her and her daughter and actually do stuff from there. And it's basically, because we promised it on air, you can't not do it. So So he goes with his producer and Rona as well from the station. They all go together to this house. And what I appreciate about this episode is that I really like. Obviously, I'm expecting something weird or horror-esque once they get in the house, but I really had no idea where it was going at this point. And I appreciated that. So
Yeah.
they go in, and basically it's a little bit creepy, it's a little bit weird, like the chaos that's going on seems a bit much for one kid. And then eventually the mother, Nora, she like basically reveals a couple of weird things. Like she thinks her husband that's still on the way home from the war is this guy from World War Two, this major. And like we see that she's had help from other psychiatrists in the past. And we see some creepy shots of like the daughter running about in a mask upstairs, and it's really creepy, but she's hiding from everyone in the house. And so that all goes on, and then eventually she starts killing them, and death ensues, and that's kind of, obviously we'll talk about the ending when we sort of get to that point, but that's kind of what the episode is. So, Tim,
Yeah.
did you enjoy the new arrival?
So if you had asked me before we started, rewatching all the episodes, what my favorite episode was, I probably would have said this one. I have really fond memories of it as a kid. I remember, like first seeing it pretty young and thinking it was super creepy. And rewatching it now, obviously, there's some stuff that's, doesn't hold up as well. Like, watching it as a, 31-year-old, it's like, all right, well, that's like a little cheesy, this here and there. But I do think there was still some creepy parts. And yeah, I really, really enjoy this one.
Do you know, it's funny because we've had this streak recently of kind of okay but not great episodes, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to have a good one soon to kind of break the trend. And I'm happy to say that I also liked this one quite a bit.
Nice.
I thought, like I say, I appreciated that I didn't really know where it was going for a lot of it, but then once the creepy stuff with the kids started happening, like I just cut to this shot of her running like upstairs with this mask on. I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this is getting interesting. Like I was actually intrigued, and it's been a while in the show since I was intrigued by what was going on. Like I felt like, sure, the last episode we did with the whole chef thing, like yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun, but I was never like thinking, oh, I wonder where this is going to go, or like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. Whereas here, I was actually genuinely kind of curious, and I was kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, this could be fun. And they go inside the kid's room, and he speculates, oh, that there is no kid. Like it's just the mother, who happens to be quite small, so she could be like pretending to
Yeah.
be the kid in kid's clothes. It's a psychological thing. She's got a split personality. That's what it is. And now, obviously, I'm thinking, okay, you've suggested that far too early in the episode for it to be true. So there has to be a
Yeah.
real kid. And sure enough, there is later on. But I appreciate that, and obviously the deaths are kind of fun. Like the bitchy kind of radio executive wanders upstairs, and she ends up like seeing what we find out later is dead bodies, and she gets killed there. But there's a really cool POV shot for her death where it's behind the mask of the kid, and it's kind of Halloween-esque. Where you're behind the eye holes, and you run up
Yeah.
to her, and she screams. I did question why the others didn't hear this. Was the attic
Oh yeah.
soundproof? Especially since like immediately after this, they go into the kid's bedroom, and then they find the dead body in the bed, and I'm like, wait, is there like a secret trap door in the ceiling that she passed the body
Yeah.
through to get it there? Like, so there's a couple of weird, like, I don't know how quite that was managed in terms of just like the logistics of it, but I was always entertained. I like the cast. David Warner is pretty good. I will say, I think this is kind of a weird episode, and you know how usually we talk about how it's about someone getting their comeuppance,
Oh
and,
yeah, definitely.
and someone deserves the bad thing that happens to them, right? So, okay, the executive's a bit of a, she's kind of cruel a little bit in a professional sense, but she's not necessarily deserving to like be killed.
No.
His assistant seems is probably the nicest character, and she gets her head like cut off with a fan. That, by the way,
Yeah.
is rigged to lower from the ceiling. Like the girl is actually lowering it, and she's like shouting
Yeah.
at the doctor, whilst it's coming down above her.
And I'm curious, did you see anything like weird happening with the fan? Because obviously I'd seen the episode before, so I knew it was going to happen. And then as I was rewatching it, I noticed like, oh, it does look like there's some razor blades or something on there. Or was that kind of a total surprise?
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. Yes, that's a fair point. I never even looked at the fan until until it was that low angle shot, and it was clear that it was
Yeah.
going to start coming down, and that's when it became a thing. But she didn't deserve to die, certainly.
No.
And even Doctor Goats, his name is David Warner's character. Even he, like, yeah, he's a bit of a grumpy guy, but
Yeah, like I would say maybe he has like a bad philosophy, but it doesn't seem like, I don't know, that it was that, you know, hurtful to the world, I
yeah,
guess.
he didn't
Like,
really do anything bad to anyone. He's just he's a bit grumpy. He's definitely a bit full of
yeah,
himself. But it certainly was nothing that made me think, oh, he needs to get his just desserts. He needs to be killed or he needs to be
yeah,
suffering or whatever. So at the end of the episode, when he's found the other two dead and he wakes up in the chair tied up in the attic and it basically it's explained that like all the other like all the other psychiatrists in his field are there and they're all dead because they've all came one by one and that's he's the new arrival the episode speaks of, which did make me think, wait a minute, has the authorities not noticed that there's like every person in the same field has been going missing over the last couple of years? I mean,
yeah,
you think someone might noticed that a little bit. It's funny how every single person who's written a book on child psychology has all died or mysteriously rather than of old age or of
yeah.
illness or whatever, but hey ho. I'll just assume that the law enforcement agencies in the Tales from the Crypt universe are incompetent.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'll just assume that. That's fine. But yeah, so he finds all this out, and he finds out, of course, that there is a real daughter, and she comes in, she sits on his lap, which again, she's got this white mask on and this wig, and it feels very creepy. And he tries to fight
And
back.
and then it feels like this was at a time too where I don't think like, these kind of creepy masks were as big. Like I feel like you get like a lot of stuff with this now, like in slashers where you'll just have someone wearing like a very, like plain kind of creepy looking mask, or a lot of times you'll see like animal masks or something. But I
Yeah.
feel like this wasn't as big then.
Yeah, sure. I hadn't really thought about it in terms of like the time period. I just it's just a very creepy look, plain white, and she's
And
got this kind of like dress, almost like a dress that a doll would be wearing. In fact, she almost looks like a
yeah,
doll in general. Just kind of a whole look to her.
so it kind of makes you feel like, oh, maybe this is, the mother, because yeah,
Yeah,
she's dressing like what she thinks a little doll child would dress like.
but of course, after he tries to like strangle the kid because he gets an arm free, or he makes her take untie an arm so he can hug her, the mother comes back into the scene and it's like, okay, right, so there's definitely a second person, and then we find out that she's actually undead.
Mhm.
That she's been dead for 40 years and she's still kicking, as the mother puts it, and it's like, oh, I've spoiled her to death,
Yeah,
literally, apparently.
literally.
So so yeah, and then it's like, okay, I'll leave you with, and that's when we find out all these other dead bodies or all these other doctors, and we recognise the one that was on the other book that we looked at earlier in the episode, and we end the episode with
Mhm.
the girl dancing around, she's skipping around the room, and it cuts back to the doctor, and he's just sort of going, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, like he's back to his mantra, ignore it.
And then she also puts on the radio for the daughter's favorite
Yeah.
program, which of course is the
Yeah, it's just the guy who took his slot. Yeah, yeah. Cruel little final touch. Mm.
But yeah, it's I really like the ending. It's creepy when you get into the attic and you see all these corpses around, and I kind of wonder like what they do exactly, to these people. I don't know if it's just like someone that they need a friend, or like she, I don't know, feeds off their like life force or something, or they simply just are
I
tied up and rot.
Yeah, I think it's just that they're raw. I never got the impression they were implying that she does something to the bodies. I think it's just, oh, they're there to help, and then they just let them die because they can't help, kind of
Yeah,
kind of thing. It's funny because my only disappointment with the ending is that it was just kind of like, oh, she's a zombie, and it never really did much with the whole. Because when they had that whole thing where her husband was like, oh, he's coming back
oh
from the
yeah.
fight in World War Two, I'm like, oh, maybe there'll be more of a twist that'll tie into that. And
Mhm.
obviously, she says the girl's been dead for 40 years, which would put you back to about the early 50s, which is just a few years after the end of World War Two. So I
Yeah.
guess that's the whole implication, is that, well, that is her dad,
Mhm.
or I guess it is her dad, and which begs the question: why is the mother still alive, and why is she still the age she is?
Yeah.
don't really know. So there's an element of randomness to it a little bit, but
Sure.
I can't deny that the whole sort of trip into the house and kind of the discovering the room, discovering how creepy the girl is, discovering the bodies in the attic. All those scenes were fun. All of the
Yeah.
build up and like him arguing with the others and being like, no, I'm the psychiatrist here. I know what to do with the girl. I know what to do. Like, it made for kind of a. It was fun seeing him being proven wrong, like where he
Oh yeah.
thinks he's got the upper hand, but then she's electrified the handle
Yeah.
or whatever.
It almost like reminds me of like a demented version of like Home Alone or something.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Yeah.
She has like all these like traps. I like too that it's not like the obvious thing to do would be like, hey, come over my house, and then they go to this big creepy abandoned gothic castle or something. But instead, I like that it's a pretty big house, but it's not
It's normal. Yeah, it's
yeah,
oh, and it's
like you wouldn't assume like, oh, this is like where crazy stuff is gonna happen.
I mean, it looks a little bit dodgy because of all the sort of the damage and the stuff on the outside, like the mess and all that. But it's
Yeah,
it's the house
it look
itself is normal.
yeah. Like at most you could be like, all right, maybe this is like some type of hoarder or something that has some type of psychological problem, but it's a little unassuming that anything crazy is going to happen other than the fact that we're watching Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, I also I kind of like the idea that he puts himself in that situation.
Oh yeah.
Like, like no one forces him to go there. Like she asks over the radio, but he just does.
Mhm.
He says yes, and it's a sort of last ditch effort. It's a sort of selfish reason. And again, I still don't think he deserves to die for it, but he does kind of put them all there himself, and they go out. And
It is funny that like you mentioned at some point I'm sure authorities are going to be looking for one of these three people, and they definitely did have like you know
it was on the
people
radio.
know on the air.
Yeah, it was on the radio who was asking them to go somewhere. So
Yeah.
if the authorities don't find them, like
Mhm.
after the evidence that they've got here, they are truly and it's not even incompetent. It's like beyond that. It's like they're basically dead themselves. They're just sitting there eating donuts or whatever they're doing. Uh, but yeah, and then they'll find all these other dead bodies and go, I wonder if these have been reported missing. Oh, maybe not.
And I do like Zelda Rubinstein's character. I think she did a good job of again, she never really tried to play it like ominously creepy or anything. Like she played it very straight. Like, oh, this is my daughter. She's acting crazy. She won't listen. Like she just sounded like a regular parent dealing with a troubled child, as opposed to like she doesn't give any like weird other than maybe like talking about like her husband coming home. Like there aren't a lot of hints of like weird zombie stuff going on.
Yeah, well, that's. But yeah, I think it's a pretty fun episode.
Yeah.
Probably the best of the season so far.
I definitely would say so.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it was the most interesting. I think it was the most suspenseful. It definitely had the creepiest moments,
mhm.
um, and likable enough
Yeah,
characters, likable enough plot, and yeah, and the ending was pretty
yeah.
decent. And the Crypt Keeper segments were
Oh yeah.
relevant to what was going on in the episode because they were psychiatry based.
Yeah.
So
I always like when they have like another person with the Crypt Keeper. Like even when they're not like doing much. I don't know. I just think it's always fun when he's not by himself.
yeah. So I guess that does it then for the new arrival. So let us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/milefuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, and we will see you next time.